just because Flip is a bit slower to mesh and surface and do all that in like a 1 or 2 hour session. Um, the chill zone, the cool chill. um, so yeah, that's why I usually will stick to doing like volumetric stuff because it's just a bit faster workflow or more interactive. Um, we'll see. The cheat zone. All right. What's going on here? All right. So yeah, that's usually what my thought process is with things. You exploring pop? Let's take a look. Ah, this is really nice. This was the gas particle separate. Yeah, I like the two different gold, silver color schemes. Very nice, Umer. The depth of field in that is really cool. This is a stream about Houdini. So every Friday, I usually just do a CoolZone that's kind of like slang, or it's just my name for like developing a abstract kind of composition, artwork, digital art, kind of freeform, exploratory. First render out of Houdini. It was Redshift or it was Mantra? I think I have these switched around. Just do that. Arnold. We're kind of wanting to get back into Arnold, but I just haven't had time to mess around with it. There's definitely some cool features in it that the other stuff doesn't necessarily have. The rolling shutter. I think they have the clip geo, like render time effect that you could do like booleans at render time is pretty cool. I've done some non-photoreal styles, not necessarily, I don't know, kind of like toon shaded or that, more like flat shaded or outlines and that kind of stuff. You're looking to do a specific type of NPR, Romulus? Low poly style for games. I don't know 100%, but I think people have done some tutorials with Houdini. I haven't ever looked into them too much. I don't know if a lot of the look people end up with low poly happens just because of the render, like the game engine they're using, the way that the light baking and stuff like that happens, where the lighting information is just like baked into vertex color. And then it also, I don't know, sometimes it seems like they do a good amount of stuff with textures sometimes. Like the textures are almost like sprite sheets or whatever. Sometimes it could be really hard to do it just because it's like, I don't know, it's almost like painting sprites or stuff like that. It's can be a different skill set. Misunar, thank you for the sub. Let's go. Bokeh customization. Yeah, I think Arnold has some support for that. Yes, Dean or Daddy said their docs are definitely some of the best. Even if you're just like trying to learn about renderers, like just going through their docs can be enlightening, and you could kind of apply it to other renderers I've found. I think if you just go to their website, do support, maybe it's, I forget. Usually I just search documentation or whatever. There it is. You could look at the Houdini one if you're familiar with it. Like I've pulled models off of here before and used them for my own purposes or whatever, but just the way they explain stuff is super cool. They have a lot of like animations and just makes it a lot more like interesting or whatever. Compare this with like some of the side effects documentation where it's just like an entire novel of text with very few illustrations or stuff like that. But I think I don't know where they definitely will talk about doing some bokeh customization, I believe. There's some, I don't know if it's like XYZ. Someone on Twitter was developing their own like bokeh rendering stuff. Lee Grigg, marble shader. I haven't seen anything recently. I saw him doing some rolling shutter like deformation type stuff. Yeah, lentil. There it is. Dean or Daddy to the rescue. I think this is for Arnold, right? So I haven't actually tried it myself, but I've seen some documentation and stuff that is pretty cool with it. It looked to be pretty fast, like interactive. Dream Vlad, finally watching you live instead of YouTube. Thanks for making the time coming in. This is marble? Oh, these kind of, I was thinking of like a marble statue. Yeah, I remember seeing this kind of stuff a few weeks ago. I think he was just like projecting from the camera an image onto it to modify like the refraction color perhaps. So I don't know how easily or how well it holds up, like if the camera's moving, but it's definitely, you get really cool results with it. The best one always is this one the person wrote in like shader toy. So I think with this one they have like a fractal sitting inside of the geometry that they've coded or whatever. You get really nice detailed like parallax and stuff like that. But I think what's happening is like there's a fractal recursive kind of fractal or whatever that they programmed inside of it. It's like you can't really do this level of customization or whatever with a lot of ray tracer renders or whatever. You don't have access to like enough low level functions. You want a shader toy to Houdini module? They kind of have it, I guess, as like this OpenCL. If you were to run this on like a grid, maybe, I guess even just doing it like in the viewport with writing an OSL shader, like someone was doing that recently with distance fields and just rendering them. But is kind of just like the method with writing shaders or stuff like that is, it's like kind of like writing demos. It's not super reusable because it's like so close to the end of the process. It's like, I don't know. it's a lot more like mystery and illusion than it is actually like physically creating polygons and like stuff that you could repurpose and use in other places, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain. Left not much. Good to see you. Yeah, so there's no set topic. Today it's just a CoolZone, another kind of like abstract composition, kind of like Instagram art, daily art or whatever, that kind of vibe. So I was thinking about just making something with some pyro stuff. So busy with school. You're started a new semester? I feel like even without school, it's hard to keep up with streams in general. I've been trying to keep up with other people's on Twitch, but it's just hard to find the time. So yeah, I was planning to do something with, I think with pyro. Could be the quickest way to do it. Basically starting with like something pretty geometric. And the other portions of it maybe going into a just getting like turbulence applied to it to blow it around somewhat. I don't know if it's a good idea, but we'll see. So I'm just trying to start with like a somewhat interesting composition of things. I don't know, maybe these things will just get like longer somewhere. They aren't perfect boxes. Sometimes I'll tie all these seed parameters together, so I don't have to offset each one like individually. We'll just link all the offsets to the top one. All right, let's see. Maybe turn off the relax iterations as well. Yes, I'm just looking for something where these are all somewhat connected, touching each other. All right, maybe this is okay to get started with. Do VDB. Make it the fog. So usually I'm doing particles as a source for volume sims, pyro sims. I'm just gonna try it with doing actual density and actual VDB, so that I can more perfectly represent like these sharp edges and stuff like that. Sup, pyro. Oh my god. Yeah, I might give it a go. I'm gonna see what happens. So I think here, I don't want to export all these. Usually I'm just visualizing the one field, convert to VDB again. It's kind of nice because you can do that all in one. Sourcing. I guess it will just ignore these extra fields if I don't bring them in. Solving. If I just play it, we don't have any, nothing's happening. Okay. So one thing I want to do is just source only on the first frame or the start frame. It doesn't, you can't toggle it on and off with their interface, but you can just do like a switch up here. So this will just be like enable source. And then if we do $frame is greater than 1, will be 0 because it will be false initially, and then as soon as the next frame advances, it will switch from this input to that input. You could see it here with the dotted lines as I go between frame 0 and 1. Frame 1 and 2, I'm sorry. All right. So now something's happening. If we go to solving shape, this dissipation is applied, so that's just fading the density out over time. I don't want that. I'm just going to turn it off and turn on turbulence. And so it looks like they're influencing the turbulence through temperature, and that doesn't exist right now. They also have this control field. I'm just going to turn it off. So I can just do a merge, a name, and kind of plug these together like this. So with this, I'll just name it temperature. What did we do in PyroSolver? We haven't done anything with it yet. So what this is doing is basically duplicating the field, renaming it to temperature, and then merging it back with the existing density. If I change this wire back over here, and just give everything some more space. So this PyroSolver is nowhere is it's basically, this is their shortcut. If you put it down, it's a SOP, so it's kind of all self-contained, kind of like the Vellum solver, like the Vellum SOP solver. So if you want, you could add microsolvers and stuff in here. I haven't done anything. So basically this is just the stock behavior, if that makes sense. So what I've done so far is turn off all of the settings. This is duplicating the field to a temperature field. And then the temperature is affecting or influencing the turbulence. Player 2, haven't got a lot of streams lately. Been extremely busy. I've been a little busy as well. Yes, I've been good. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Getting kind of back to a regular schedule with the new multiple computer intense streaming setup. So I think under simulation, you can do buoyancy scale. If you just turn that to 0, the temperature doesn't have any effects on the, there's no thermal buoyancy, or heat is not rising or falling or anything like that. So now it's purely, the only motion is through turbulence. If we turn it off, you'd see basically we just have temperature, density being brought in, but not moving anything around. Turn that back on if we want more turbulence, maybe bigger scale. That's pretty cool. How have you been, player two? Did you finish your Countach render? I think maybe with this temperature. Let's do the volume VAP. I'm gonna do it before I rename it to temperature. So if it's up here, this is still named as density. So it will just be easier to modify as these are already set up, pre-wired to use density. We'll just take the existing density and multiply it by a turbulent noise. I don't know why this started to get so slow. So it looks like it's working. I might go and just reduce the resolution to work a little bit more quickly. Client work. Seems like a lot of people I've heard are getting pretty busy with that right now. It's like commercial. You doing commercial work? The advertising is picking back up. Uni for 48 hours a week. Movie. From a very good Houdini streamer I'm subscribed to. It's good to hear you're able to use the knowledge and apply it. All right. We'll do, just gonna go with like a lower frequency for this stuff. Maybe the simplex noise instead. So these noises you use for different reasons. The alligator noise can be nice for like fluffy kind of clouds or smoke or that kind of stuff. Like just the way that the opacity gets affected by it. I might switch to simplex. So this goes above and below 0. I'm just gonna clamp the results to make sure we don't have negative numbers. But basically I like this because it has these gaps or these empty regions compared with the alligator noise that's kind of exists almost everywhere, but just in different amounts. This can be nice to use sometimes because it's like just empty regions or whatever. Just handed in our research and results from this week. It's nice to finally turn your brain off. 48 hours. It's the weekend. It's Friday. So my idea with this temperature is we'll basically have it selectively applied. So it's the way that this sparse solver is set up is that only areas where temperature exists will it inject turbulence. So you could even further reduce like the area that gets moved around if you subtract. So this is kind of like an erode function. Just subtract a number to bring it more of it below the origin or below 0. Let's try some different positions. All right, I'm just trying to get like a corner or a few edges of the shape. And then as well, this turbulence has a seed. This is kind of like what I was doing with the noise offset earlier, like up here in the volume VOP. So this just gives you different turbulence patterns or different offsets of the turbulence function. So I'm just going to go with a lower voxel size or a higher resolution. And I'm using the sparse method or the sparse solver right now. If you go to simulation, where is it? Setup. Solving advanced sparsity. It's enabled. I think it gets set with this resizing. The padding is like how many extra areas things will get resized or adapted to. I think if I don't know, it doesn't look like this good. Maybe just show hide velocity. I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think because it's turned off maybe. What I was trying to do was see, you just, maybe this visualize tree. You can kind of see what's going on here with the voxels that are activated for the sparse solving. I don't know if, I guess you have to kind of do it as a VDB. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll just leave it like that. So what I was planning to do with this, go back to go from fog to an SDF. So now we kind of have this interesting like geometric hard edge surface, and then it's getting like bubbled up a little bit with the turbulence or the shaping noise that this temperature field is driving or injecting into the simulation. It's pretty cool. And then the fog ISO value is basically any density above or below this value that will get treated as the surface. So again, this is kind of like a dilate or erode. If you go above 1, there's like no density that's that high of a value. The visualized tree node. Yeah, it's pretty useful. So for not only for like inspecting stuff, but even for effects work, doing this in points mode is pretty cool. Boxes might be a bit slow, but you can kind of make like a Lego voxelizer. But in points mode is kind of like points from volume, but it's nice because it's the sparse. It runs pretty quickly. You do like points with values, maybe no colors. Okay, there it is, no colors. It's a gem. Yeah, so then if you do color, afterwards, I already assigned the value or copied it over. So if I do ramp from attribute, VDB float, you kind of have a way to inspect the value of each voxel this way. Infrared settings are different ways to visualize it. The infrared setting is kind of nice because like anywhere where it's red, you know that the value is clamped or is reaching the upper limit of things. So now that nothing's hitting red, you kind of very easily see that you have no values that are above or equal to 1.1. So when I go over here, If I set my fog ISO value above 1, again, you could kind of see it in a different way of visualizing it, that there's no fog that's higher than that value. This is just the same thing, but different ways to visualize it. It's pretty cool. Billions of little cubes, billions of Minecrafts. And then this is a SDF, so it's still a volume. It's still like voxels with values, but this is the slice of like what the values are. The way the viewport visualizes it is it puts a little sprite that faces the camera at each voxel, or the surface value of each voxel. But it's not actual geometry. If I middle mouse button, should be able to see that it's still just a VDB. So again, if you just keep going, convert VDB. Oops. We could go to polygons this way. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like a melting bubbly soap. The sprite secret. So now we actually have polygons, a wireframe, and actual faces or whatever. I might do this VDB resample. Can use this to go to a lower resolution overall. I don't think that's what I want to do. Old school Jack, how's it going? You found the Houdini. All right, so maybe instead I'll just do this box. With divisions like this. I'm trying to find basically like the grid points that this is intersecting with. Let's see if this worked. Did anything happen? I think I need to switch those inputs around. You just do Shift R and it will swap the inputs of a SOP. All right, I think it's working. So now I can kind of like project or apply this lattice of points based off of the box. Seven Temper, how's it going? So this is pretty cool. Kind of have like a lattice effect or something like that. H.264 doesn't like tons of lines. It's like doing a moire effect or something. what is this intersection analysis doing? Um, it's kind of like on the same idea as a Boolean, uh, artifacts everywhere. Maybe if I do this wireframe to visualize it this way, maybe the H.264 is happier with this. So basically it takes these lines, finds anywhere that they intersect the geometry or the first input, and then it will output. You could do other things, but it's just outputting the points of intersection. So it gets used with other nodes, possibly Vellum or something like that. But you would use it to find ways that lines or geometry intersects. Does that make sense? If you just look at it this way, it would make a grid with no divisions. Go to wireframe. So I turn this down so it's just a quad. And then if you do maybe a circle as a polygon, do a 3-sided circle to get a triangle. Just offset it. Then you do intersection analysis. It looks like it's not working right now, because I think instead of surfaces, it prefers to work with curves. Let's try. Okay. So the ends node close you if you unroll. It basically makes it an open face, or converts it kind of to edges. So then this intersection analysis just finds the points that curves are intersecting, or lines. So it can also work with faces like this. You might be able to do the same thing with this like Boolean intersect. Or sometimes seam can give you the same stuff, but these nodes are somewhat the same. But if you look at the icon, it's kind of very similar to what that little picture is. So I think, let me see how many stuff I'm getting. So I'm doing this to kind of make like an art directable, like get this grid pattern that's kind of projected on the surface. This regular point lattice or whatever. Then I'll do VDB from polygons. Maybe VDB from particles. Houdini 18. Yeah, it looks pretty exciting. They have some. I didn't get to it when we were going through it at the start of the stream, but they have some SOP-based rigging stuff that looks pretty exciting as well. Yeah. Possibly no more chops. All right. So do VDB from particles on these to go back to an SDF with a assigned distance field. Oof. So I'm doing everything as VDB from particles, or going back to SDF, so I can more easily do the Boolean operation. If I was to try to cut out the circles from the shapes and stuff as polygons, it would be a little bit more like flickery or could introduce artifacts. So if I do it this way, you'd see I'm just more easily poking holes in this stuff. What's going on here? Ooh. Heard some people in CG Wiki Discord saying the only bummer was Karma, which still isn't impressive. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing with it. It seemed like they were still talking about Mantra. So I don't know if they're still improving it or what was going on. Let's go back to polygons. So I might want to do another smooth. Try to sort out some of those like artifacts or whatever. Typophobia, trypophobia. Some people have karma phobia. They don't want to use that renderer. Why is it empty inside? Because I did this VDB from particles instead of polygons. So VDB from particles is building a thin shell of a surface. So this thin area has volume, or is the inside surface. And then this is all air, kind of. So when I cut the holes in it, that same idea applies. We are on the 18.5 hype train, somewhat. Not regarding karma, but regarding it seems like SOP-based rigging, the new rigging tools and workflow, the new for all the simulation stuff is pretty cool. They had some cloth. Pyro presets ready to go. It seemed like they had a better explosion than their old shelf tool, or the current shelf tool for an explosion doesn't give you the best results. It might be out of beta. I didn't look that much into it. I see Sims. I am a simple man. They would have mentioned if Karma was out of beta. I think Karma will be in beta longer than Gmail. Is Gmail still in beta? Let's go smaller spheres. Pyro gets a good shader out of the box. Yeah, if you look at, I don't know if they copied it, but the way that the shading is set up in Axiom, the explosion example that comes with it, he's doing some pretty cool stuff in there to generate like a scattering volume. Like he's blurring the temperature fields to make the glowing kind of like interior scattering effect. You tried Axiom? A lot of problems with it. Yeah, I tried it out a little bit. It's I'm still not familiar enough with it to be like very super comfortable with it. but I could see some uses for it for sure. I'm just gonna save this file. Oh my, we're in October. It's the spooky season. All right, just be like pyro hole punch. I was just gonna do a flip book of stuff to see how it moves around right now. I don't know why this area here isn't getting. This proximity tolerance. Maybe you have to do like a small jitter. Play with p-scale. Yeah, I think doing the small jitter, sometimes when things are like perfectly on an axis or perfectly lined up, it doesn't like it. All right. We'll just move the camera, something like that. Maybe zoom out a little bit. Things are gonna expand as it like blows around. See what happens. Yeah, the kind effects. I don't know about being I wouldn't. I've always been afraid of getting too deep into rigging. It seems like a lot of like script and maybe some of the tedious stuff we'll get out of it, but I'm more interested in it because it seems like you could kind of use some of that stuff or the workflows with like destruction, like rigging little destructible assets, buildings with like telephone poles and wires and I don't know, more like hinges on doors and stuff. I don't know if you just do it all with constraints, but like art directing kind of underlying like skeletons to influence destruction or something. That kind of stuff, and then like integrating more with crowds and the agent rigs. I don't know. And then even like procedural rigging, like making little centipedes or legged creatures could do some of that stuff. A left, not much. You're talking about this or the Houdini 18.5? I think this could be the flip book. It's the point jitter creating the animation. So I don't think that I haven't animated the jitter or anything. The only reason I added it is this super small amount. It seemed like when my intersection points were perfectly lined or on the same axis as these surfaces, it was skipping some holes. Basically, I'm doing this intersection analysis with a bunch of grids or lattice points that the VDB surface is going through. So anywhere it collides or overlaps with these lines or box of lines, it's like a box full of lines. It will just poke a hole in it or punch a hole in it. This is a pretty cool frame. But yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe we'll turn it off in certain areas, so it's like only doing the turbulent, the blobby area. We'll see what happens. As I'm doing a sparse solver, as things expand or occupy more area, it seems to be getting a little slower. But yeah, instead of using the GPU, it's using the CPU stuff now. So I think it's a little, even though it is sparse and optimized in that sense, I think it does eventually get a bit slower than doing a full GPU. But I guess you have the opportunity, or you could do higher resolution stuff without filling up your GPU memory as quickly. So we get some water. Just let this simulate a little bit more.
Welcome to the internet, your gateway to adventure.
Some of these areas are starting to look pretty cool. I was just gonna stop the simulation. Let's take a look. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but basically I have a ton of like 3D lines anywhere that the lines go through the pyro surface, like intersect with it. This is what that intersection analysis is doing. It's creating a point, and then I'm doing the VDB from particles to make a little spherical volume, and then VDB combined to intersect, or to do the difference between the two volumes or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of like the impact points, the impact analysis. What is it? Yeah. Intersection analysis, impact analysis. How much RAM are you using right now? Thinking of switching from Windows to Linux. I moved my workstation setup around a little bit because I was redoing the streaming setup. I don't know how accurate this reading is. Like it sometimes says it's using more than it actually needs, but it looks like I'm using like 91 gigabytes right now. But I have a feeling it doesn't need that much. Even some of these frames here are pretty cool. There's like some weird kind of cloudy lattice or something with my lowly 16 gigabytes. Yeah, I think you'd still do some interesting stuff with 16 gigabytes. 64 is too low. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a situation where it's like you rarely use all of it, but it's nice to have it sometimes. It depends a lot on what you're doing, but if you're simulating like millions of particles, the amount of RAM you have will directly correlate to how many particles you can simulate at once. Like you can literally see your memory consumption increase as you do more and more particles. Um, I think I've done like 100 million before with this setup. Like if you do 16 gigabytes of RAM, you might only be able to simulate like 5 million particles. So especially with like client work or things like that, it makes a lot of sense to just invest in more RAM so you're not limited in that sense. But for learning or for doing like personal work, the reason I say the difference between personal work and client work is with personal work you have more flexibility to like creatively make decisions of taking a different route or adapting your project to the constraints of your machine. Like a client work, they might say like, we need you to do a solar system, we need a ton of stars, there's no way around it. If it was personal work, you would do like say I'm just going to do a stylized solar system or something like that. But I think for learning purposes and like just getting experience, using 16 gigabytes is still, it's probably a bit low for these days, but it's still enough to have fun. I have an old Windows laptop or a Macintosh laptop that I use to mess around with Houdini. I think it has like 16 gigabytes of RAM, a pretty old processor and stuff. It's still fun to try out ideas with and stuff, and like because you're so limited in terms of how much geometry and stuff you can actually create, you end up kind of optimizing things or like creating efficient setups because you're never getting like lazy or sloppy and like brute forcing too much stuff. So it teaches you kind of like how to be conservative with your memory or performance in that sense. So I don't know if doing a camera like inside of this stuff could be cool. I think it's pretty interesting the way that it's like direct comparison of this kind of organic form with the grid points or whatever. Yeah, it depends. I think a lot of gaming computers, like games, don't use a ton of RAM, so they usually don't have a ton of memory. But with Houdini or doing visual effects, you usually end up needing more memory than like you would if you were doing real time work. Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense having less RAM as you learn, just because it's like never a good crutch to rely on just like slamming settings to get good results. There are times when you just need more RAM. Yes, I think it was, I don't know, something like this was a better composition, like 1 point perspective type of vibe. Seeing like some long strips or even repeating areas of the grid, the like the way that this cuts kind of over and over again is pretty cool. All right, so just gonna go in and actually make a camera. You can start to play around with lenses and stuff. We could go maybe a wider angle. Try the other way. What happened? Oh no. Alright. Give me back. I lost it. Alright, I think this is back where we were before. Just gonna kind of do away with these like rotations to make sure it's aligned perfectly. That'll just be one camera view. Let's try getting rid of that stuff for right now. Then just going back. I don't know. This could be cool. Yeah, I usually end up doing a still frame with these, just with the time constraints and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's kind of better to start with the still frame and build from there. This kind of thing, like if you just play the flipbook, you could already have an animation, but with the time constraints and just trying to make something interesting as quickly as possible, it usually just ends up being a still. The stuff from last time, let me take a look. Started like a still, and then I just played the animation. Like with Houdini, it's pretty nice because usually you end up like with the ability to move into animation super easily, or even for free almost, like without doing extra work. Let me see. When was last week? This would have been the 25th of September. Yeah, so I didn't have a chance to finish it yet, but this was like kind of my work in progress from last week. I started to add a speed ramp and stuff like that. So I think like my still frame at the end of the stream was somewhere along here, and then I just added the time ramp. Was starting to do stuff with the depth of field, but yeah, it's usually just end up with this kind of stuff. You did your version for the last week's one? Upload it. Blast it up. All right. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out right now, like whether I don't know what direction to head in with things. Not necessarily like to actually render and end things, but if you just want to be showing everything from the inside or from the outside, or with the wires or without the wires and that kind of stuff. It's just kind of cool to see like the gas. This bubbly stuff implies it's more of a gas, and it's a little less like hard to envision what's going on. turning the lines off. Wire's a mesh light, the VDB is reflective. So not even visible. Happy Friday. A happy Friday to you too, Mr. Wazoo. This is where we were so far, is just making this like bubbly, holy object. Was trying to see right now like what other direction and stuff to head in with it. I'd started with like a camera kind of inside of things. Let me go back to solve some frames. We got a polka dot box, a polka box. So yeah, I was doing like a VDB conversion, and then with the intersection analysis, have a grid of lines wherever they're intersecting with it. They punch a hole in things. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool as well when the holes get bigger. Kind of cool. It's like a pin cushion. Like a fluffy quilted pillow surface or something. You would bring out the Marianne orbs. See how big we can make everything. Sometimes with these wires, do like a for each primitive. So like the wire SOP replaces each line with a tube primitive. If you do this for each, just do convert to make them polygons, and then box. You will get a box that's like aligned with the wire. See how slow this is. If you want to convert everything to be boxes, like it's a little bit different than the polywire because the boxes are straight. Like if you do polywire, they'll be kind of diamond shaped. Looks like this is taking a little bit of time. It's almost done. So this is just what I mean. You get like the straight edges or whatever. Prism Inception. Yeah, so I just have the box. This kind of makes artifacts, I guess, with H.264 or whatever, but it's kind of like the Tesseract, whatever, repeating space. Alright, so I might just make this stuff thicker. I guess if I maybe just go from, instead of VDB from particles, just do VDB from polygons. This is gonna make a actually thick side.
Your gateway to adventure.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like the lighting for this one. This black and orange is a pretty cool color combo. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Thanks for uploading that. So we have a kind of dimpled surface now or whatever. It's like a golf ball or something. Just gonna turn up the repetition of this stuff a little bit. Might just be that this box is like too big. I think it's kind of slowing everything down because I'm making more. Let's just move this number around. Kind of just make like filling more of space than I need to with lines. I just move this centered with everything. Just maybe add some padding in just in case. It should be quicker to do the steps now. All right, get that off. Okay. Got a kind of waffle pattern happening now. Let me see what happens. Just go to the hollow. Just gonna make a new camera from the exterior. It's the croc, the croc shader. I might do another thing with these lines now. So we can take, trying to think of the best way to do this. So if I take these lines that don't show up that well in the viewport, the stream, just do resample. So instead of them being just the end segments or whatever, like we'll just zoom into an area here. Just gonna add subdivision or like extra division of the points. Then I can, I think, just do volume from attribute, or I'm sorry, attribute from volume. So it's hard to see, but basically anywhere it's inside, it will have negative values or it will be black. So if I just do blast, this basically samples the volume and then copies the voxel value at the current location to the geometry. By default, it will just store it as in the color. So if I just do cd.x is less than 0, set it to points, delete non-selected. Now I have get this camera off. Now I have just the intersection grid or lattice or whatever. So that's why I was doing resample, so that these could have, like if I don't do it, it's not as accurate or whatever. So now we kind of have a skeleton, something like that. So just creating wires or lines on the inside. Uh-oh. What happened here? could be fun. Let's go back to the camera. So I think we do this with like 2 different outputs now. We have 2 different polygon soups. Interior. This will just be main. Looks cool. Thank you, Miss Sooner. Yeah, so I'm splitting these out into other objects so I could do different shaders on the stuff. You can do it all in one geometry object, but with Redshift, I usually like to split it out into different geometry containers. So if you need to like displace, is this working? I think it's working. If you need to change the object, like render settings, you have this flexibility. Recursive croc. Recursive growth. You're wearing a recursive croc. Yeah, it's kind of like the differential growth or whatever with the with that stuff. Do materials, lights. Let's take a look through the light. Just have a kind of rim situation. Do materials. This will be inside. Outside. All right. Maybe the inside, start with the tinted glass. It has the red. It's kind of like red glass. Jelly or something. We'll just do plastic for the outside. See what we get. To get into the camera. I don't know if these shaders got... I guess they got applied properly. I don't know if the light needs to be bigger. I'm gonna turn off the inside stuff for right now. We'll do the GI. Just to get the bounce light happening. I'm gonna make the diffuse brighter, like a value of 1. Just make sure I'm not too exposed, overexposed. All right. I'll do a grid beneath everything. Maybe just with the same shader for right now. See what happens. So I'm trying to move the light around a little bit. Sci-fi beehive. It's kind of just like an abstract plastic thing. Usually, my one of my big like inspirations or whatever is this Zeitgeist 3D studio. They kind of make these objects that are like, I don't know, impossible objects or weird forms or whatever, but they have like these physical attributes or properties or whatever to them. So there's not one in particular that I'm trying to like replicate or copy or whatever right now, but just the general vibe or style or whatever, I guess. I guess like this kind of thing is I don't know, somewhat similar idea. So maybe just drop the grid down so it's not as this shadow is just a little odd. I was like so close to everything. All right, let's get the inside surface back. So I think with this red goo stuff, either add like roughness, so it's not too clean. This is more of like a gel or like a jam or something like that. If we do it with point, if it's too clean, I don't know, like too perfectly see-through or transparent, I don't know. I think it just looks a little too CG or too crisp or whatever. So this does interesting things like blurry refraction. It's almost uneasy to look at. Yeah, the red is might not be the best color. Some of these other things, for red and white, I think part of it's just with the Redshift shaders start you at red with the default settings. Usually I'll try to stick to like simple color schemes of like monochromatic or not a ton of different like things. I might try something with this here. Yeah, I guess aesthetic. Can be easy. I don't know. I was falling into a trap before. Everything is just too rainbow, or you just want to use all the colors. I'm gonna try something here with this color. Bounding box. See what it looks like. Sometimes what I've done before is if you merge a bounds in with everything, you just want this. Usually I do the order, so the bounds is the first thing going into the merge, and then I'll do a poly soup before it gets merged. That way afterwards you'll always know that it's like the primitive number 0, so you can eliminate it this way. And then if you increase padding in specific directions, you could say I'm stripping out some of the extra colors. So when this color node is looking at the bounding box, fingers dance. How's it going? It's considering a bigger area or a wider range, and then the end result is you have more refined, some billion IQ stuff. This is just a bit of a hack from doing things so many times. But yeah, if I don't do this, you just do things. It's just trying to think of another way to show it. So if I just make a copy of this color and do a bounding box this way, you just always get this like very generic looking full rainbow, but this way you can work with a reduced band of the spectrum or whatever and get like some more interesting gradient or whatever. Maybe try going the other way. Mid rainbow, single rainbow. Yeah, just an abstract gradient, like more of 2 colors instead of blending between all the colors or whatever. Then with this inside, can get the color in the shader. Just make sure you set the name properly. So this is going to be the transmittance color, refract transmittance. See if it works. The cool Houdini, the cool shades Houdini, could be the logo for this, the CoolZone. Uh-oh. I think forgot to move the display flag back. Oh my God. I have coronavirus. Bless you. Thank you. So yeah, you're kind of getting the refined color palette there. Got it from POTUS. He gave everyone the, it expanded into like 20 different people. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit. Let me try something else here. Get rid of this scatter color. Maybe the reflection color. I feel like sometimes you need to reboot Redshift to have it retrieve all the attributes and everything. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to have a hard time right now getting the maybe just increase the scale. Seagull Rush. Plastic eating wormholes? Some kind of it's like caviar. Isn't it a bag of caviar eggs or something? I'm gonna try a different lighting position. Mentos. It's like the candy. You would get those just like a printed cash register receipt with the little flavored sugar on it. You never saw it? It was like it was really weird. This stuff. $2.99. Synthetic toxic shit. All right. Try to get back to something closer. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just try some different materials. Yeah, you definitely end up eating a lot of paper. As you have like the back of it was always white whenever you peeled off a new one. Yeah, the scattering colors underneath the bleed color is pretty cool. I feel like you can get some interesting effects with Redshift, whether it's that, like the milky coffee. It's kind of gives you a volume type of rendering the stuff, like as volume or jade. All those stuff give you some interesting subsurface. It's kind of like a subsurface or even a murky volume, kind of like rendering the stuff as a volume. like this light. Yeah, it's like it's like at the factory they just have a confection, like you're frosting a cake or something, but they just put little drips of like flavored frosting on a sheet of paper, and you just you peel off the stuff, but it's so adhesive you always end up like there's paper sticking to the back of it. So it's always a little suspect, but I don't know how bad eating just raw paper. I mean, it probably doesn't have like nutritional value, but I don't know if it actually will do harm. If it's like recyclable or non-toxic paper. Clearly ahead of his time. I feel like it was probably someone that was just at their factory and they were making a different kind of candy and they just had the extra bits laying. They were like, well, we have these like strips of paper that the stuff gets shipped to us in. We have like the machines aren't running at night or something, so we'll just just put little bits of sugar on these and call it an extra like product we're gonna sell. I'm gonna switch to a longer lens, I think, for this. I've never tried Houdini with Unity. I've the only Houdini engine I've used is the one for Maya. Um, I've just used it as like a cheap way to import particles or BGO into Maya. Like if you just put a file SOP inside of a digital asset, then you can use it in any Houdini engine product as like a BGO importer. Let's try going back to our. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit more confusing, I think, working with like a real-time engine because you don't know if the like game like that stuff will compile necessarily, or it could just get too slow, I guess. Like basically real time, you can't really do volumes or stuff with animated explosions. Like you need to bake it down into a sprite sheet or something. So that's why I don't know how well it would work with the real time stuff. try bringing the ground. I'm just gonna get rid of the light, go back to dome. Yeah, the Unity I think is, I mean, it's the HDRP, the viewport stuff that they have is super exciting. Like, wish that I could do that. Oh my. Things have gotten way too bright. I think it was better with the other studio light that I was using before. And just make another material for the ground, the background. It's pretty cool. Put a mirror in the back, like directly behind it. I think my drag and drop. Oh no. I think my drag and drop might have froze me up here. All right, it's back. Just gonna update it right here. Go to the new. Looks like it got it. It got the update actually. I see the tricks people do with the mirrors, like put them on a grass reflecting the sky. There's kind of like a trend going on. It's pretty nice. So what do? Just do IOR. Really big number. 0. 16 is a mirror. Let's take a look where everything's at. It's the camera. Invite me for some Fortnite gameplay, dude. Epic Pogar. Who's playing Fortnite? All right. Try. Uh-oh. I think my light and stuff like that is a little bit messy. Okay. Black marble. I'm gonna see what happens with the roughness. Oof. 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 You hate to see that. You really hate to see that happen to someone on a Friday. All right, I think we're getting back to it. Yeah, I had the backup. Yeah, sometimes with Redshift, I'll get a specific crash that's like a hard crash or something, but it seems okay today. Just put this in the folder. Two. Maybe so just cache this stuff to disk. You don't have to worry about the don't have to worry about it losing, getting out of sync or whatever. To add atmosphere to a planet, I think, I don't know what the best way is with Houdini. It's kind of render specific. You usually end up doing that kind of stuff at render time. If you look up like atmosphere shaders, I know Arnold has a super good tutorial for how they set it up in their renderer. There's like specific scattering phases and stuff that people use, especially for Earth, that goes from like blue to orange or whatever. But yeah, for a generic atmosphere, just doing the density volume, that will kind of simulate it pretty well. All right. Yeah, I don't know what the I know with this, someone had made like a really nice PDF that's actually 4. Houdini, Arnold for Houdini, Slava Seek. They're doing a lot of specific settings, but trying to get, I guess it depends on like the planet and what the ecosystem is or whatever, but you might be able to do stuff with just like a glass shader, like a Fresnel effect or something like that at the edges. All right, let's see where we're at. Just gonna turn everything else off. We have the simulation cached. Yeah, for whatever reason, Redshift didn't like increasing the material roughness. The crash file should already have it changed in it. Vegan Nuts, how's it going? So yeah, on this roughness 0.25. See what it looks like. I guess just like the beta, like Redshift 3.0 is still beta. It's a bit crash inducing sometimes. Wow. Look where it put us. Let's go back to the camera. So yeah, that was with a bigger roughness. It's kind of cool. It's like a Houdini 19. It's the alpha edition. Yeah, I don't know, maybe just doing like a blurry thing is kind of cool. I think my reflection angle being to the left like that is a little bit sloppy. Can try getting it over to the right a little bit more. Just going through everything now. Yeah, I don't know, the angle is a little bit wonky. No genome. Tokyo Megaplex, how's it going? Control drag does it permanently. Very nice. The 18.5 feature, the kind effect stuff seems pretty good. Steve GH, thank you for the 4-month Prime streak. Let's go. I can't believe it's been 4 months. The hell is going on? With Houdini 18.5, we were talking about the kind effects, like the SOP rigging. Seems like that has a ton of potential for just like other uses beyond the like simple character rigging or whatever. It's not pronounced kind effects the way Kinney. Kinematics. That makes sense. Kinney effects. Kin effects. Like that? Kin effects. Naming stuff that is hard to pronounce. Like Hulai. Huli. Sounds like a skateboarding move. Do a huli. It's like a Tony Hawk special move or combo or something like that. Contrast of shapes. Thank you. It's interesting. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's like a recursive scale, recursive spheres or something almost. I've been going back and forth on this like blurry reflection. Houdini daily, so Hulai. Yeah, I think it was, they wanted something like the Inktober or November, but it was a little forced maybe. July. Yeah, that was it took me a while to decipher it. Rendercember. But yeah, like even after July for August, it could be August or Hugist or something. Do you ever use a target object to set the depth of field? Sometimes I do it for animations and stuff. With Redshift, I tend not to use it when I'm setting stuff up because you can do it with they have a click to focus button you can do that. You just click on the pixel and it will set it. But for animations, it can be useful if you do a null to do it that way. Have you been setting it up with the null? It's terrific. I'm gonna do away with this reflection, with the extra background grid for right now. I feel like I don't have enough time to finesse it properly. Yeah, the V length, V2 origin, it's a good combo. Yeah, they built it into the cam. Even the kind of going into constraints like they did almost was like a step back for some things. Like they used to have a look at object that you could just drag and drop a null into, um, like a follow path. Like now they want you to do it with constraints and stuff like that. So it's a bit cumbersome. I think this is a little bit better. Just doing a rim. All right. Let's try a later frame. Yeah, I don't know if anything, if they had some more camera rigs, that'd be pretty cool. Like a crane, a bunch of different little like things. The Maya camera is pretty nice, just the way that the icon like changes to show you the focal length and stuff like that. Like the Houdini camera could use a lot of work in different aspects. So I'm just trying this now with a different frame. See what it looks like after things have expanded out or whatever a little bit more. I don't know about these colors. I might just go back to the single one. Thank you, Tokyo Megaplex. I don't know. I'm still kind of up in the air with some of it. Breaking frame. Yeah, I was thinking about that as something like that or whatever was maybe a little bit better. More of like a macro. Jordan Spear. I haven't, this is the toothpaste mouthwash machine. Bah, forever Baja Blast. somehow my thinks I'm trying to drag and drop something again. Yeah, I'm always a fan of doing some isometric or just longer lenses in general. It feels like, yeah, a bit more authoritative or just like intentional, I guess. I don't know why this keeps happening. It thinks I'm trying to drag and drop stuff. My plan was to might rotate the light a little bit more to try to get back to like a rim. My whole situation is borked right now. Let's give it another few seconds. I think it's coming back. I don't know. It's broken. Encyclopedia Pictura. You said you kill the process, it still creates a backup? Yeah. The issue, it looks like it's back now. The issue I was having was like my whole desktop, my whole thing was broken, but I think it's back now. Let me make another file. But yeah, it was weird. Like my mouse was just thought I was dragging and dropping stuff forever. Let's take a look. Ooh. This is pretty cool. This is kind of like Garbage Pail Kids or whatever. Pocket Monsters. What is that stuff? Monster in Pocket? Is that what it's called? Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly like this might have been a false thing. But yeah, these are really good. Is this the same guy? Ooh, this thing's cool. Pogs. That whole time period was pretty. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just it was definitely a vibe. The creepy crawlers. Those kids were just making like heating up little molds of goo and like unsupervised inhaling the fumes. Poggers. All right. So, trying to think. I think this new camera is good. Kind gonna go for different lighting and try to work with the colors a little bit more. So I'm doing the colors based off of like the bounding box position, but I'm using this to just extract or try to extract like a subset of the color spectrum, more of like a gradient or something. So like merging a bounding box for the color by B box calculation, and then just deleting that bounds so that it's not using the full range for the final result. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe this is a better. Where did it go? All right. It's back in the Baja Blast universe. The extended Baja Blast cinematic universe. It contains all the other flavors. Mountain Dew Game Fuel, Mountain Dew Kickstart, Mountain Dew Code Red. Let's try I've never had Game Fuel. It's terrific. It's trash. Amp? So Amp got replaced by Kickstart? It doesn't exist anymore? Surge. That was the 90s. That was the the creepy crawler era. All right, maybe I'll just try this. Colors. Just need to remember to go back. Green sugar water. I feel like Surge had a pretty big flavor. I can't remember like what. Was it intended to be like a specific fruit? Or it was kind of like all. Was it? It was meant to be like all the different flavors in one or something? All right, so this should start. Then I'm just gonna rotate my HDR around, trying to get a better rim. Let's go flip it around just 180 degrees. Back to 0. Maybe one of these other axes. All right, this is a little bit better. Let's give it a try. Just gonna go half res. pretty noisy. Let's see what happens. So yeah, I might be close to wrapping things up. I'm just gonna try to bang out like a quick animation, as quick as it will run. There's a lot of like SOP operations with the volume, VDB combine, subtract, all that nonsense. So it seems to be a little slow to build. Oh no no no! My camera's the wrong one. Yeah, at the start I was thinking about having the camera be inside of the shape, seeing like when it was more of the lines, lattice going through everything. It was kind of cool. Another pretty CoolZone final. Thank you. Yes, it's somewhat interesting. I don't know. It's a bit undeveloped still, I feel like. But it's a cool result, a cool idea. The vibes. Miami Vice. Got the Don Johnson color palette. Yeah, I'll be back. I will be back. Isometric. Yeah, I need to look up this tryptophobia. What is it? Let's see how small we can make this window. When I was in like grade school, there was this one guy who I would go to the library and play Super Nintendo emulators. This one guy would try to browse on like websites he shouldn't be on, but using a really small window so that he wouldn't get caught. Like he would just be scrolling around a website like that. Kind of. He thought he was being sneaky. I think I had a floppy disk, like a 3.5-inch floppy disk with the ZSNES emulator. And you could fit, like with 1.5 megabytes or whatever it was, like you could fit a couple games on it. And I would put it into the computers at the library and play like Zelda or something. Yeah, they would go on their Windows install and specifically would delete the games so kids wouldn't go in there and play the pinball or whatever it came with. But yeah, it's a bit of a primitive way of hacking around it or whatever. This is cool with the little dots or whatever, the accents on it. You got Addicted Games banned. There were certain Flash ones that were cool. There was like Snowcraft or something like that. You like having a snowball fight outside. Uh-oh. Oh no. It's not there anymore. What was the one that was like Abandonia? Is this still around? Oh wow. Look at this guy. I don't know if I should have done that. This is like the mystery professional pickup artist. But yeah, they would have abandonware or something like that. It was like shareware games that you could get for free on here as well. Bloxors. You guys ever played this game? They called it Spitwad Willie. Uh-oh. What happened? This was like, you were this little guy with a straw jumping around. You try to pop these these beach balls or something without them hitting you. I remember playing that game for like hours on end. Lots of ads. I need the ad blocker. I'm kind of skipping through the rules. The text was too small for me to read. This is pretty cool. Uh-oh. He's off by 1 block or something. Ooh. Oh no. This is kind of like Marble Madness. Ooh, I did it again. Alright. So I think it needs to go like that. Here. Ooh. We won. Yeah, Marble Madness is really fun. I think you'd find some like all the boards, all the levels or whatever. Russian attack. There's like screenshots of this that have people tiled all the levels or whatever together. It's kind of cool artwork or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think my maybe I want to do more roughness. Like the specular highlights here are a little distracting. Probably also would want like some bounce light or something like that. But yeah, I think cropping in so that it was breaking the camera frame is a cool idea. Some of the motion of this stuff is a little weird when it's like intersecting or whatever like that. But yeah, this is probably going to be it for today. Sorry I didn't get, is there holes? Or are they filled with glass spheres? Yeah, so there's a pyro sim, yes. So I did the sparse pyro or just the SOP based pyro today. Yeah, no worries. I could go through everything right now. Just recalculating something. I think I set some of this stuff in like a not super efficient way. Oh man. All right. So I was doing this pyro solver, the SOP pyro. Yeah, I think VDB growth, because it's maybe using SDF, so you need to like rebuild the SDF every frame can be slow. But yeah, so basically I made these boxes into a fog density, and then just added temperature in a subset or like a masked noise area of them. Julian, thanks for stopping by. So yeah, using a noise basically just said temperature in only certain areas of it. And then that temperature drives turbulence. Just with this pyro solver, it was the default way that the turbulence is driven using temperature. But only where temperature is will it do it. So that's where the motion came from. And then I was doing probably too much stuff to do what do you call it? Just there's too much stuff that was slowing it down, but one was like intersection analysis with a grid of boxes. Take it easy, Steve. Thank you for the 4 months. So this was basically giving me the repeating grid pattern. Basically, this is really, it's too many lines. Basically like a huge lattice, interstellar type of tesseract thing. Wherever these lines intersect with the pyro form, it would copy spheres or add spheres to it. And then those would become the holes that got poked in. And then I was also building like a skeleton inside of everything. So taking the grid structure that was inside of the SDF or the surface would get turned into this lattice shape. And this could be even pretty cool like this. But yeah, this would be it for today. Just move the flags back. Yeah, so some interesting ideas for sure. Sorry I didn't wrap it up too nicely in a final result. It's a cool direction to head in. We'll be putting the file on Discord if you want to look for it. Stay blessed. Bless up. You are amazing. Hope I get to do this one day. It is my dream. You can do it today. Just start. Make it so. Manifest your dreams. All right. We'll be back tomorrow